From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Afternoon Edition.
Right now in the Afternoon Edition, a live look at San Francisco's Moscone Center, where the countdown is on as the city prepares to be in the global spotlight to host the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit that also is known as APEC. Good afternoon, I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and about 20,000 people, including world leaders and VIPs, they're coming to town starting this weekend. U.S. Treasury Secretary, though, Janet Yellen, she's already in San Francisco today ahead of the APEC summit. She met with China's new top economic official today, the two discussing the bilateral relationship between the world's two largest economies and other global issues. This will set the stage for the high-stakes meeting expected with President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping next week during APEC. And about an hour ago, city and APEC officials announced some of the biggest security measures we can expect, including fortified perimeters and major road closures. Police patrols will be at a maximum, not just in the main meeting areas.
The biggest message that I have before you is we are ready for the moment. Let's show the world that we are truly a world-class city.
And you should be prepared for checkpoints or barriers around Moscone Center, the Fairmont Hotel in Nob Hill, the Legion of Honor at Land's End, and the Embarcadero between Piers 19 and 23. There's more information on our website to help you navigate APEC, including an interactive map with all the street closures and links to all the specifics on traffic and transit disruptions, all on KPIX.com. Other top stories we're following this afternoon. Opening statements begin in the federal trial of David DePape. He's accused of breaking into the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco home last year, striking her husband Paul Pelosi with a hammer. DePape is facing two charges: assault on an immediate family member of a federal official and attempted kidnapping of a federal official. He's pleaded not guilty. And our Kenny Choi is in the courtroom. Will bring us the updates on the evening editions of CBS News Bay Area. Live look at the White House. The Biden administration says Israel has agreed to a daily 4-hour humanitarian pauses in its assaults in northern Gaza. This will allow civilians in the area to leave the war zone. This comes as President Biden pressed Israeli for a multi-day stoppage in the fighting to allow time for hostage negotiations. But Biden says at the moment there was no possibility of a formal ceasefire.
Do you ride BART? 500,000 people a day used to, but the pandemic and crime scared most away.
We are about $300 million short in fare revenue.
Now BART is on the brink. All this week, we expose what's wrong and what it will take for BART to survive.
And we continue our week-long series, BART on the Brink, drilling down on the problems the transit agency is facing. And you might complain about BART, you might ride it less, but have you imagined a Bay Area without it? Max Darrow shows us what that might look like.
The first leg of Alec Edge's commute from San Francisco to Oakland is done on 2 wheels. The second leg takes her underground. She's relied on BART to get her to and from work.
Say 4 to 5 days a week.
And all around the Bay Area for more than 10 years.
I love that ad. That shows that how one full BART train moves 1,500 people.
But in recent years, regularly full trains have not been the norm. BART ridership hasn't roared back from pandemic lows, and the transit agency that Edges depends on teetered on the verge of a fiscal cliff. BART managed to stay on the tracks, however, without drastic service cuts, thanks in part to a temporary boost from the state, getting a share of $5.1 billion over the next few years that is allocated for transit in California's 2023-2024 state budget. But say that didn't happen. Nothing changed, and BART became a thing of the Bay Area's past. What would that alternate reality look like?
I would say my life would be slower. It'd be more expensive. And it would be a mind shift on how I move around, get around, and make decisions.
Emily Loper, the VP of Public Policy at the Bay Area Council, put it bluntly.
It's impossible to imagine a Bay Area without the BART system.
She says the effects would ripple throughout the region, hurting economies and livelihoods.
BART is the backbone of our regional economy.
and one effect we'd all experience, regardless of whether we ride BART or not.
You know, traffic congestion on roads and highways would skyrocket, and it would really erode our overall quality of life here. It would make it much more difficult to get around.
Loper says we got a preview of this about 10 years ago during the BART strike.
It's pretty ridiculous.
A round-trip car commute during that BART strike from Walnut Creek to San Francisco was over 3 hours. So just imagine the intensity of the traffic and how difficult it would be to move around.
Aside from the inconvenience it would create, all of that extra traffic, says Professor Carrie Watkins from UC Davis, would have a drastic impact on the environment.
The congestion on the freeway, it would have emissions that went along with that congestion. Everybody's going slower, and each car is emitting more.
Watkins, whose expertise is in transit planning and operations, says a Bay Area without BART would reverse significant progress made in the region meeting its climate goals.
The more that we can focus on mode shift from getting people out of vehicles and onto more sustainable modes, transit, cycling, even walking to work, you know, those types of things, the more we're going to make gains in these climate goals.
And thinking bigger picture,
you're creating a less livable city if you don't have a city that has a backbone of a really good transit system.
For now, that isn't the reality. BART will keep moving. But Loper says the status quo must change.
We need to be focused on making BART the best system it can be to draw more riders back and increase fare revenue, and also restore voter confidence in supporting funding measures to support the system going forward.
After her ride under the bay, Edges is back on two wheels for the final leg of her commute. Her solution to BART's ridership and revenue reality:
subsidize it as much as you can. This should be treated like a public service, like, I don't know, water, electricity. It should have as many subsidies as they need, because it will be better. People will use it.
She hopes a Bay Area without BART never becomes a reality.
And this morning's BART's general manager and police chief kicked off what they call a safe and clean plan listening tour to hear about your experiences on BART. It got underway at the Fruitvale station in Oakland, where they spoke to riders about service, cleanliness, and safety.
All these decisions that we've made over the last, I don't know, 15, 18 months are starting to intersect right now. And then our new fare gates come online, and I just think that the rider experience is vastly improved, and I want to make sure that that's in fact what folks are seeing out there.
The first of those new fare gates, those will be installed in the West Oakland by year's end. They plan to have them replaced system-wide by 2025. That listening tour continues next week at the Embarcadero and Pleasant Hill stations. And BART is a little over a year away from running off a fiscal cliff. That money has to come from somewhere, but who's going to pay for it?
This board has refused to ask for concessions out of the labor contracts.
It ain't going to be by cutting raises or laying people off that you're going to get there, all right?
Well, tonight at 11, we're going to take a different look at the different ideas for keeping BART running off the rails. And you can share your thoughts on BART with us using the hashtag KPIXTV on our social media pages, or email newsdesk@kpix.com. Stay with us throughout the week as we look at BART on the brink. We'll be posting all of our stories in a special section on the front page of our website.